That was also came up in 2020. And then the policy are now prescribed the length of vehicle, diameter, the tires, and all those things that are required to do that. So that now we now have vehicle policy in the country. And then we also have the policy on vehicle imports. This has been a bane on our head for so many years now. We said you can import over 8 vehicles or vehicles that are more than 10 years. But the situation is that this vehicle, if it's more than 10 years, it can still come to the country. You can bring the vehicle to the country only if you can pay what we call the CIF value, cost insurance and freight value, plus a tax, plus also a percentage of penalty. So it means that in effect, with this law, any vehicle that is even be older than 10 years can still come to the country. And people also come with the old engines, older vehicle parts, and they tend also to affect pollution in general. So at a point when we were trying pushing for this law to be looked at again, the government, in the quest to get more money, decided to label certain vehicles as luxurious vehicles and tax it. You get it? So they say the high tax on engine capacity. If you bring any vehicle that has engine capacity of more than 2.9 cc, you will pay a hefty tax on it. Aside bringing it through the port and paying import duties and the rest, you pay taxes on this annually. So this law became disincentive, because it means that if I'm supposed to bring a newer vehicle to improve air quality, and if I bring it and it can improve it, I still have to pay more taxes on that, and which is not good. So this law, Ghanaians really voiced on it. There was a lot of advocacy, and I think it has been suspended a bit. And then we also have the Customs Amendment Law. This law is supposed to also was promulgated in 2020. That's the vehicle laws that I'm talking about, to allow some initiatives in the country to be able to assemble vehicles here, and also to allow people to be able to source money, get some incentives from the banks and others to be able to buy some of these vehicles in the country. Then we have the traffic regulations. This one, I've kept only this portion, the regulations too, which is very, very, very important, and it's always to look at that. We import a lot of old ties that have been used in overseas and they are not more being used, are imported into the country, and we use them. Some could be winter ties. All form of ties comes into the country. So we have, and at the same time, the tie is also new, and it's not older than 4 years, that can be acceptable. And if the tie is not a winter tie and it's very new, it's acceptable. But if the tie groove is less than 1.2 mm, or the thickness, then it's not acceptable on our road. I think the MTDD people can bear me out on that. So normally, when you buy ties, you look at the doors, the year of manufacture, that is on the tie. And if it's overinflated or underinflated, dragging, it can impede the movement of the vehicle, and the vehicle can smoke a lot. It affects the friction on the road surfaces, which also lead to emission of certain gases from the bitumen that on the road. So these are things that are in the brake shoes. If you don't have proper brake shoes or parts, they tend to wear out. Most of the brake shoes are made with asbestos. So if they begin to be worn out, they are not good, you have them being emitted into the atmosphere, and maintenance and others are also key. But so there are Are there any initiatives that have taken? Yes. I'm talking about the Clean Air Initiative. We have done what we call the vehicle emission inventory. We didn't have any information on vehicle population in the country after 2005. So we decided to bring down every information that are in the regions to be able to computerize them and then see what we have in the system. So we had a program we call the data-funded TSP program that was done to be able to take stock of vehicles in the country and then also be able to look at the key aspect of this one was also look at the vehicular pollution aspect as part of the program. So as part of the program, on-road testing of vehicles was done and stationary testing was done to collect data. And the data that were collected is what we use in developing the Ghana standard for motor vehicle emissions. So this has also been done. Abidjan Convention framework is going on. Cost-benefit analysis of implementation of this also have been done. And then the fuel economy also that has been done for old and used vehicles has also been mentioned. So please, the slide is not moving. Can you operate it next? So there are other interventions that have been done. There on the screen, we have the electric mobility. It is ongoing. And then we have the Local Governance Act, which is supposed to look at solid waste management, liquid and solid waste management in the country. And that they also have what we call how do you call it, sanitation, national environmental and sanitation also policy or action plan. That's also to look at the burning of trashes and all those things, among others. So there's also look at the decentralized treatment systems that we should have in the system and the rest. So next. So under the energy sector, we have what we call promoting the national sustainable energy and decrease household air pollution in Ghana, program that have been also being done in the country. We want to have access to LPGs for people to use at their homes, and then the expansion of this to other areas, and then also look at the Ghana action that also had to be taken to look at how to promote clean air or clean biomass LPG, and also look at the inventories that we have in the country. When we look at the population and national census, we realize that the LPG outtake is about 22.3%, and then the wood is 43.2%, charcoal 31%. So it means that we are using a lot of biomass fuel in the country, which also had to be looked at. And then the current policies on sustainable energy for all country action plans also being done. This policy is also being implemented. And then we're also looking at how universally we can also roll up the energy that we have in the country. So these developments are motivated by energy and climate concerns. Those are mentioned over there. So we also have the transport strategies like the Ghana fuel quality. This has been done through, we have what they call there was a communique in West Africa to be able to improve our fuel quality, 50 ppm sulfur maximum. And Ghana was able to come out with guidelines and standards. Now we have a standard for fuel. And we have a standard also for petrol and diesel. What is supposed to be in the active ingredients in diesel and fuel. We have standards on that. And those standards have now also been harmonized with the ECOWAS sub-region to use. So this is also there. And then we have the Fuel Inspectorate Division from the National Petroleum Authority. And there's a committee on that tend to look at adulterations of fuel. You may have standards, you may have the policies, you may have all this, but people tend to adulterate the fuel. They mix them and then sell them to unsuspecting public. So there is a committee on that to oversee that our fuel quality is maintained in the country. Thank you very much. So, in conclusion, I want to say that we need to bring all these bits of policies into one basket. And that basket should be the National Air Quality Policy. It's something that we are advocating for. That because bits of policies in institutions are difficult to implement. But if you have the national policy that everybody can draw from, giving a direction as to how the country should go, then that will be the way forward. And then we also have to encourage government of Ghana to review the overage policy issue, and then also look at the effective implementation of the vehicle fleet policy. There's a vehicle fleet policy of 2010. And every 5 years, there's supposed to be 5 to 10 years, there's supposed to be renewal of buses, new buses, and also removing the, how do you call it, scrapping the very, very old vehicles from our road. So this policy was supposed to do that. But however, it's become very, very difficult to do that because of politics. So the government is also not able to renew the buses regularly. They're doing very well for STC and sometimes also for GPRT. But others are, the implementation is not well done. And then also incentivize the purchase of new vehicles. So incentivization of vehicle purchase is very, very important. And in developed countries, they do that a lot. You take the vehicle and repay it on installment. So, and then deployment of also networking of air sensors in the regions is also very, very important that we need to look at, which we would need assistance also that from our partners. EPA will need assistance here a lot. And then we also test and calibrate and evaluate air sensors in the sub-region. This is under the Afri-Set project. So Afri-Set is here to help solve some of the problems of scarcity of monitors in the sub-region. So you'll be able to test and calibrate and evaluate the sensors and approve them. We will tend to have more confident sensors in the system and then collect more data that are near to accuracy and then be able to use those ones for policy decisions. So it's very, very, very important that we need to look at that. So I encourage the developers, people who have sensors in the system to bring them to Afri-Set for evaluation and calibration. The key thing is that there's a prospect of using these sensors to influence policy. Currently, the Ghana standard for air quality management does not permit local sensors to be used for regulation of policies. But if these sensors are calibrated, evaluated, and with correction factors determined, maybe the technical committee will consider that in the next review. And then make sure that the next review, which may be coming very soon, we want this issue to be incorporated into it. And to be able to do that, we should be able to have firm testing grounds here and then good sensors in the system to be able to recommend to the technical committee. So it's a challenge to all of us in the sub-region to be able to look at that aspect and then do that. Our folks in Liberia who do not have air monitors, I think this could be also another grant for you. Liberia and Sierra Leone, try to get those sensors, let's test them. When we're able to test them, we can also recommend the type of sensors that you may also need to use in your country.